creative living, utilizing today's technology with the best of the past to bring you innovative ideas and up-to-date information for creative lifestyles in today's active world. With your host, Sheryl Borden.
Thanks so much for joining me today for Creative Living. We're going to learn how to prepare some easy and delicious yet festive foods and talk about how seniors can protect their vision, and it's never too late to start. Festive foods usually indicates a special occasion, and Connie Moyers will be here to demonstrate several recipes that can be for a special occasion or even for special times just with family and friends. She represents Bertolli Extra Light Olive Oil and lives in Clovis, New Mexico. According to the American Federation for the Blind, there are increasingly more people who are experiencing eye problems. We'll begin the show today with Dr. Edward Condrot, who says that this is especially true for those over the age of 65. He'll discuss some tips to help seniors protect their vision. He's the founder of Healing the Eye and Wellness Center in Dade City, Florida. Dr. Condrot, I appreciate you being here. I don't see how in the world you run your center in Florida, write books, do lectures, and help patients all at the same time, but you certainly are doing a wonderful thing that's helped lots of people. And I thought what we might talk about today is eyesight, vision, and how it pertains to senior citizens. Sometimes they have things that have gone wrong with them, perhaps, but certainly when they lose their vision, that's the most serious.
You're absolutely right. And, you know, as we get older, I guess the ills of our previous ways in our life kind of catch up to us. If we have a poor diet and we don't exercise and we're not taking care of our body, then it can manifest as health problems and poor vision. So a good part of my practice is seeing seniors that are suffering from visual loss, and they're looking for alternative ways to regain their sight.
And I bet they're so happy when you can help them with this. You wrote, and one thing that I thought was interesting, it says the number of aging Americans with vision loss will double in the near future. Why do you feel that way?
Well, it's a shocking statistic, and it is true. And I think the big factor is we're just not taking care of ourselves. You know, we're not eating the right foods. We're taking a lot of shortcuts in our diet, fast foods, foods that have a lot of pesticides and preservatives, and
organic.
We're living in a toxic environment. So our bodies are just filled with heavy metals and toxins that are contributing to the aging process.
And the natural approach to helping people is what you're really known for and what you really promote at your center, isn't that correct?
My goodness, that's the #1 approach. You really got to look at your diet, and you know, right here is an example. If you do want healthy vision, this is what you got to start with.
Colorful,
you know, you are what you eat.
fruits and
Colorful
vegetables.
food.
Let's go ahead and talk about diet. You talk about in the book that I was reading about cleaning up our diet. So I'm assuming when someone first comes to your center, they provide a food diary of, I don't know, maybe the previous month's meals or things. How do you work with people to clean up their diet?
Well, usually I don't want to see a food diary because that'll just make me sick to see some of the things that they eat.
I see.
And then folks lie about it. But you take the average senior, they'll have oatmeal and maybe a banana, and they think that that is a healthy breakfast. And it's far from healthy because you need to put colorful foods into your body. You know, God put these foods into our environment, into our life, and every time you eat a fruit or vegetable that has a certain color, you're feeding your eye, you're feeding your body. And did you know an eye doctor can actually look into your eye with an ophthalmoscope, and he could tell how many veggies you've been eating?
I didn't know that.
Because when you eat a lot of vegetables that are high in lutein, the center part of the eye, the macula, has a bright yellowish tinge to it. So if I look in your eye and I don't see any yellow, I know you have a really poor diet. And there's even instruments now to measure that intensity of yellow.
That's amazing. You mentioned the macula. Is that why so many seniors seem to develop macular degeneration?
Well, I think the diet is a big contributing factor. Next would be heavy metal toxicity. And then just a decrease in circulation and natural aging changes. So we got to address all those things.
I see.
But we begin with diet.
Well, I can see why that's so important. You have an IV stand here. You do some IV therapy for people. Would you explain that?
Because some people are so deficient in nutrition that we will administer a nutritional IV. It's a highly
nutrition.
concentrated mixture of all the essential minerals, vitamin C. And I have found that 80% of people that I see are deficient in zinc, even if they're taking it as a supplement, if you can believe that. And the reason is they're probably taking an improper form of zinc, and it's not being digested and absorbed into their body. So one thing we do is I emphasize increase your levels of zinc, and one of the best ways is to get a nutritional IV with zinc.
What types of foods provide zinc?
Well, it's almost impossible to get a satisfactory level of zinc in our diet. Pine nuts, pumpkin seeds, certain nuts, and meat have the zinc. And you know, our soils are becoming nutritionally deficient. So normally, you know, 20, 30 years ago, our fruits and vegetables had nutritional value. But now, because of the poor farming and soils and dependency on pesticides and artificial fertilizers, that the vegetables are becoming more and more deficient in these essential minerals.
So people that you can tell have not had correct diets or menus, you start them out first thing. It's usually a 3-day visit, as I understand. And so this IV of this nutritional supplement will help clean out the things that they shouldn't be having, and also at the same time provide the important ones.
Well, we're kind of jump starting.
I see.
You know, if I would tell you to clean up your diet, it may take 3 or 4 months before there's nutritional changes. But if I give you an IV, then you instantly have those essential nutrients that you need for your body to heal.
By the time someone leaves, do they believe this enough? Have they had enough education while they're there that they realize that banana and oatmeal are not a complete breakfast?
Well, we hope they leave with that, but you know, it's over 3 days, and every day I will give them a lecture on an essential part of their health, and of course they're eating healthy meals, and they understand that, you know, a raw vegetarian diet can be fun. My wife's an excellent cook, and she makes it very exciting. And you know, patients are always asking for recipes. How did you make
That's
this?
good. That's a good compliment.
Why does this taste so good? So.
Okay, you mentioned earlier about seniors just having aging and maybe going through stress, and you know, I think many of us probably are experiencing stress and don't even realize it, and so that can really affect our vision, can't it?
Well, most of us have been in a stressful situation for so long that our adrenals are burned out. You know, the adrenals are essential to help us with that fight or flight, to get the cortisol levels up there so we can survive in a stressful situation. But because we've been in stress for so long, our adrenals are depleted. So it's energizing the body and relaxing, getting the person to relax, because I'm a firm believer that the body will not heal itself if you're in a stressful state.
What are some of the eye exercises that you think are so important for people to learn to do while they're at your center?
Well, probably the most important exercise is just to relax your eyes, not to strain. And I like the exercises that were developed by Dr. William Bates. One of them is my favorite, is palming. You rub your hands together and place them over your closed eyelids.
Closed eyes.
And it's kind of like a meditation, which helps your eyes to relax. And also the body has an energetic field, so you're actually putting healing energy into your eyes. A second therapy, which I had a hard time accepting, is sunning.
Oh, really?
Dr. Bates taught that early in the morning, when the sun is rising or setting, you go out, close your eyes, and look at the setting sun through closed eyelids, and you see the reflection of the sun, the image of the sun going into your eye.
And that's why you close your eyes, because we know that sun can damage the eyes.
I didn't really think that had any value until I read an article. There was a study done in Berlin looking at red near-infrared light in the treatment of macular degeneration and glaucoma. Very, very successful outcome. So I got the cold laser, the laser they used, and I was doing it at home, my wife and I. My wife said, "Honey, you know, this is just like looking at the sun." And I said, "My goodness, Bates was right. Because when the sun is setting, it's red near infrared. And so this laser light duplicates what God gave us." And here's a light that we use.
So you do light therapy.
This is light therapy, and this is a red near infrared light. And you put it on your closed eyes, and it gives a low level of red near-infrared light, which penetrates the eye and helps stimulate.
How long do you leave it on a person?
Usually about 10 minutes or so.
Oh,
Also, this light has been shown to stimulate the lymphatic system. So we treat the lymphatics. The lymphatics are important for detoxification of the body and cleansing the body. And interestingly enough, everyone's talking about stem cells. Well, the infrared light has been shown to stimulate stem cells. So we talk about our patients treating it right over a bone, a long bone, and it's been shown to stimulate the stem cells. So the laser light is one of my favorite modalities for helping
That's
people.
interesting. What about this? You said this is microcurrent therapy?
This is microcurrent. This is also a subtle energy. It uses very low levels of electrical current. We're talking about a millionth of an amp, a millionth of an amp. Very, very low, so it's imperceptible. But it gently improves circulation, stimulates cellular activity, and helps regenerate the eye. There was a study done that was published in a medical journal that showed that microcurrent can improve cellular activity by up to 500%. 500.
Oh, word. So then how is that related to the eye?
Well, we're taking dysfunctional, sick retinal cells that are not working. We're improving the nutrition, the diet, we're giving the building blocks, and then we're stimulating them to start to function. So this has been one of my most valuable modalities to really help people see an improvement in their vision within a couple of days.
I think what I like is everything you've shown is painless. You just have results, but it's not a painful type situation. You suggest that people, if they've been told perhaps that they need to have cataract surgery or some type of surgery on their eye, of course we know to get second opinions, but why do you think it's so important to avoid surgery at almost all cost?
Well, you know, I started out as an eye surgeon, and I did lots of cataract operations, corneal transplants, and glaucoma procedures, and I thought that they were the final answer. But now, as I'm leaning to more towards the homeopathic and alternative approach, I think that you really got to treat the underlying cause. For example, the biggest cause for cataract development is elevated lead. So it makes sense you need to be tested for lead and have that treated.
Lead?
Lead.
And here we think that we've just about eliminated that problem in our lives.
That's far from the truth. Far from the truth. So I like to treat the underlying cause
of it.
Strengthen the body, and many times you do that, the problem will disappear and the vision will improve. So I advise people, don't rush into surgery. Explore alternative treatments, and you'd be surprised. In many cases, your vision will improve and you will not need surgery.
Oh, you know, and whether that's for senior citizens or somebody of any age, that's such good advice. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I've learned lots of new alternatives, and I think that we all need to know more about taking care of our eyes. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Connie, it's always so nice when you come. I love the recipes you bring, and you have this way of making everything look like it would be easy to prepare. And you and I both know when it's holiday time, Thanksgiving, Christmas, maybe Easter, we add so many more dishes to our collection, and it's just sometimes hard to get it all done. You have a lot of good tips for us today.
Well, for one thing, if you just get things done ahead of time, you know, whatever you can do, that helps, just like we do for this. So that would really help you a lot. But today we're going to cook a chicken instead of a turkey. It's a good thing to roast, and it's easy. You can do it any time of the year. You know, none of these recipes have to be holiday, but I think they're kind of festive. So we've chosen just a large fryer or roasting chicken, and I took a knife and just split here and
lifted the skin up.
Lifted the skin and on top of the breast there, and slipped some orange slices in there. And so that's going to help give this a lot of flavor. And then I've put some fresh herbs on it, and even have some extra oranges and stuff around it. You know, a lot of times when we roast a chicken, we put an apple or an orange or a lemon in the cavity, and that gives it flavor, and then you just really kind of need to throw that away because it just absorbs some of those juices.
Right, it's just mostly for flavor. Now I noticed you have it in a rack that's lifted up a couple of inches or about an inch from the pan surface, so this is to allow any fat to drip out so that we don't have it.
So this is a real healthy way to fix this, and to make this really pretty, then we're going to put some Bertolli olive oil on it, and we'll just use our pastry brush, or you could use your hands and rub this all around. And if you wanted to sprinkle it with your favorite seasoning or some kind of rub or fresh herbs,
or even
that
salt
would
and
be
pepper if you.
that would be good too. So, you know, now it will be really pretty, and it'll take 45 minutes to an hour to cook, and we'll be able to take it out and have it ready. You know, a lot of times if I'm going to roast a chicken, I roast two. So I'll have some leftovers.
Oh, yeah.
And you can always use that then in chicken salad or chicken enchiladas, or, you know, whatever you want. But you might as well do several at a time. It takes the same amount of energy in your oven and all of that kind of stuff.
It's more efficient to do it that way too.
So you could use a, you know, turkey or a chicken, and sometimes we don't need a whole big turkey. We're going to make,
excuse me, depending on how many are coming, and you can calculate your servings per pound of whatever the meat is.
And the other thing that we would want to make sure we just test it with a meat thermometer in the breast or someplace not touching the bone, and make sure that it's done.
That's a good tip.
And then we'll know. But now it'll be really golden brown. We're going to make some salad dressing to go onto a salad, and I've just got some fresh herbs that I chopped up here, but you know, I've just purchased salad mix, which that's easy, and they're pretty and they're fresh. And then we'll put in about a tablespoon of Morehouse mustard in here. And we're going to use balsamic vinegar today.
I like that with the olive oil. I think it's a great combination.
It's just a really popular taste right now that people really love. And so we'll be using that and some olive oil. And we'll be able to whisk this together and place it.
And you mentioned herbs. A lot of people grow herbs in their windowsill or have a little herb garden. You can use a variety of herbs. It'll taste different every time you make it.
That's right. And this, I believe, was basil and oregano that I picked last night, and we were able to put in there. And so now this will just be able to be drizzled over that. But the olive oil just makes it a real good light flavor. It's not a real heavy dressing like some people have sometimes, and so that'll be really a good way to do that.
Well, and it's a good way because you can gauge how much of each ingredient you're putting in, and if people are watching their weights, and everybody is, the olive oil and vinegar is a great dressing to use.
We're going to put some, like I just put a few tomatoes on there, but to kind of change it up and make it festive, we're going to add some walnuts to it, which are really good. And if you want to toast those, then they would be really flavorful. And cranberries, dried cranberries is a good way too.
Those are being used more and more.
They
and
are.
They're good for us
and
too.
They're just add a lot of flavor. And then we'll just be able to drizzle whatever we want, or let individual people drizzle their own and get the amount that they want over the top of it.
And another tip I know you've shared before, rather than having a set-down meal every time, having a buffet, and then like you say, this dressing would be there and people could put on the amount that they wanted.
And that just makes it a whole lot easier to serve.
It does.
And people, it's an easy way to do it, and that's the way we always do it at home.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask you now, at our house, when we have turkey, we always have dressing, which some people call stuffing, so it depends on the part of the country that you come from. Can you also do that when you just cook a big chicken like this? Sure.
I made some right here. It's just a cornbread stuffing, and you can put apples. I put some of the dried cranberries and some onion in there. But you can do any of that, chop it up and put it in there. But it's really kind of neat to do these little individual servings. And, you know, you can even cook it with the lid on. And then when people take it off, they don't, it's a big surprise as to what that is.
Now, could those be frozen, or do you need to cook them immediately?
You could freeze them.
You could? Oh,
it would change the texture a little bit of your bell pepper, but you can freeze stuffed bell peppers real easily. So
I see.
That would be a good thing to do. But and if you're going to serve more than just a couple of people, then you might want to even try the stuffing muffins, because they cook so much faster. You know, when I cook dressing, I cook a big old
10
pan
by 13
because
or something.
I like it leftover and all of that, and it takes a long time for it to cook. But this is a good way to do it, is just put it in these muffin tins and cook them. And then you could even pop those out and put them in the freezer and just take them out and heat them up.
Another one of those tips, like you said, do everything you can ahead of time.
Right. But you know, sometimes you just like to have a little bit of that later, and that's a good way
I love leftover dressing.
To have that.
Now, isn't it safer, haven't we always heard that it's safer really to cook the dressing or stuffing out of the bird, cook it separately?
It is. So you could do it in a casserole, you know, pan this size. Like say I have a great big pan that I make mine in. You could do it in the individual things, but it's a lot better.
It is.
To do it that way.
And of course, we have to have hot rolls. We always seem to have people saying, where's the bread?
We do, and an easy way to do it is like with these Rhodes frozen rolls. You know, my grandmother, in her later years, always used the frozen rolls instead of doing the dough and making it and all that. Saves a lot of time. It's easy to get out what you need. The packages usually zip up, and so you can get out, you know, 4 or 10 or 12 or whatever you need. But, you know, traditionally we kind of brush them with butter, and we know that that's not as healthy for us because of the monounsaturated fats. We can use the monounsaturated like the olive oil in there. So we'll pour a little bit of olive oil with some of these fresh herbs, and we'll be able to brush this on there, just kind of like they do in restaurants. You could also use some of the dried herbs, and even I have a mix that has sun-dried tomatoes in it that's dry, that you could brush onto.
You could chop those up, chop it up real fine.
Bread, yes. And so, you know, they're hot out of the oven, and we'll brush them, and it's just a really easy way to do it. And I put these just in a pan, but you can do them in the muffin pan. You can put like 2 in a muffin pan and make a bigger roll. You could cut them in quarters or 3s and do those as well, and kind of make the Parker House rolls. So there's just a lot of options with this bread to be able to do that.
Well, and not having to do the mixing, that just cuts out so much time. You set them out that morning and they thaw and rise, and they're ready to be baked, so you can immediately then take them out of the oven and serve them.
You know, another problem I always have because of working and you're never home at the right time is I've learned that you can thaw them in the refrigerator overnight. Then you can take them out and let them rise that next day.
That cuts out some time, doesn't it?
So it helps that way too, and so that's really helped me to be able to do that as well.
Well, now last but not least, my favorite part of a meal is always dessert. But when you said we were going to talk about watermelon, I thought, well, is it available year-round?
It is. You know, we get food from all over the place in different climates and different countries, and so there is watermelon all year round.
So we don't have to have pecan pie and pumpkin pie every time.
It's just, it's healthy, it's light, it's just a good refreshing meal. And again, you know, it might be, this festive meal might be a summertime meal, and it would be just the right thing to top it off.
Well, and everything you've showed would be things like you say with the leftover chicken that we would have left. We could make just chicken salad to serve, and that could even be added to the tossed salad that you had. That would be a great summertime dish.
You could also take some of that leftover chicken or turkey, you know, maybe the parts that aren't as pretty, and put them on slice the rolls and make sandwiches out of that. Or you can get the Texas rolls, which, you know, will end up being a lot bigger and make a great big sandwich. So
just don't ever throw a morsel away. There's a way to use it. Well, Connie, thanks so much for being with us. You always bring such great recipes, and they're easy to prepare and quick, and that's what I think most people are looking forward to.
Well, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the show today. Next time on Creative Living, we'll learn about various gemstones and their meanings. We'll show how to create puckers in fabric for an interesting background design, and we'll show how to use some simply elaborate stencils. Did you know that amber is a soothing, calming, and cleansing gemstone? One of my next guests is a jewelry designer, and she's going to talk about various gemstones and explain their metaphysical meanings. Another guest will demonstrate how to use elastic in the bobbin of the sewing machine to get a puckered effect. And after the seam is stitched, all you need is steam to create the look. There's no limit to the different types of designs you can make. And we all know that stencils are a classic art form. Another guest will show how to easily create beautiful artwork by simply tracing. You can even use the edges to create coordinating frames and borders. All of these topics will be featured on the next Creative Living show. If you ever have comments or suggestions or ideas for shows, you can email me at sheryl.borden@enmu.edu. I'd also like to ask you to become a fan of Creative Living on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com and in the search window, type in Creative Living with Sheryl Borden. Thanks so much. I hope you'll plan to join me next time for Creative Living.
We're very pleased to offer a new booklet that accompanies this series of Creative Living. This booklet is titled the 6800 Series, and it features a wonderful collection of ideas and information. And it's available free of charge on our website. Posted as a PDF file, you can simply download the entire booklet or just the segments you're most interested in. For your copy of this new booklet, go to our website at KENW.org and then click on Creative Living. Scroll down to the booklet section and you can click on the booklet or on any of the other booklets we have available online. We'd also like to invite you to sign up for our free e-newsletter. Just go to KENW.org and click on the Sign Up Now button and input your email address. Thank you.